Yeah, so today we're looking at recruiting differently and increasing diversity to support programs that actively get people into work and fill vacancies. So my name's Emily Bird. I am the Widening Participation Officer at the Trust. And today, very briefly, is kind of what we're going to aim to achieve while we're here. Introduce what WP is, or widening participation, have a bit of a chat around barriers and misconceptions, discuss the benefits, and we've got a brilliant guest speaker from the Princess Trust who's also going to talk about their point of view of as a programme of employment. So firstly then, what is widening participation? So I've been in this role since 2021 and it was a brand new role when I first joined. So you might have seen me out and about in the Trust with schemes like the Kickstart scheme, our work for armed forces, all our online collaborative recruitment fairs, work experience, international recruitment. My portfolio is very varied. So you may have seen me popped up in various different guises. But what is WP then? So in its basic sense, it's removing barriers to employment, particularly for members of the community who are disadvantaged or they live in deprived areas, and it's opportunities for all. So regardless of background, socioeconomic status, it's not just for the privileged few. And opportunities could be recruitment, but it could be promotions, training, career progression. And it's that assuring equity is for everyone. Everybody gets the same chance, same opportunity to do things that they want to do in their career, rather than, not just for one person. So why is it important? WP should be in everybody's interest. If you're lucky enough not to have experienced any barriers to employment within your career so far, you're one of the privileged few. But for those of us who have, it's definitely needed in the NHS and in our careers. So you understand the importance of having widening participation within the NHS and within LYPFT. There's a great deal of people in local communities who are unemployed or underemployed, who can offer such rich life experiences and values that are aligned to our own and can really fill that workforce gap that we have, but who are unable to do so because they don't have the resources or the knowledge or experience to help them get on that career ladder. So that's why roles like mine exist, really, to support people like that, ensure that they get that kind of next step in their career and ensure that the future workforce is more diverse in all its forms. And, of course, WP is in the NHS People Plan as well. And this statement here on the screen is really kind of what drives my work. So it's to have a workforce that seeks to be a representative of the society that it serves. So we know that Leeds and York is a really diverse community, and we want to make sure our staff reflect that in all its forms. And essentially, widening participation is there to support individuals who face barriers to employment in gaining meaningful and equitable pre-employment experiences and then eventual employment. That's in a nutshell, but what actually we're talking about, what programs are we here to learn about? So just some examples might be the Princess Trust, who we've got here today to discuss more about what they do. Also the Leeds Health and Care Academy, they run some excellent pre-employment programs and training opportunities. But also, it's also about advertising differently as well. So you can use me as a tool to advertise your role in a different way. So you advertise a job at NHS Jobs, but how else can you advertise? It's really as simple as asking me to share your job a little bit wider. So it could be on different platforms with employment charities and job centres. It doesn't always have to be on the standard NHS Jobs and LinkedIn. There are other ways you can share your job and really share it out to a much wider community. Also, there's values-based recruitment, which is a big trust-wide project that's coming soon. And then, of course, apprenticeships, which we'll discuss a little bit later in the presentation. Now, WP programs, even just gaining an interview is really good experience for many candidates on these programs because often they struggle to reach that stage because of the tricky application process or not quite reaching that essential criteria on their application. So even having an interview, regardless if they're successful or not, you're still giving someone that experience to help them on their career ladder, and they can learn and change what they didn't do well last time and do better next time. So even if you think, well, I didn't employ anybody that time, it doesn't matter. You're still giving somebody a really good opportunity to even have an interview. Okay, so that's kind of the overview what widening participation is. So now I'd like to hand over to you. And this is the point where I'm going to stop recording as we're going to start talking between ourselves. So On to the benefits then. So essentially this session today is about recruiting differently, but also increasing diversity. And that's what widening participation is there to do. So what are the benefits of taking part in these programs? Well, it will increase your diversity in your teams. So people with different life experiences can really, offer much better richness into your teams. And people, they often feel like they can apply more successfully, and they're given a chance they wouldn't ordinarily have by taking part in these programs. If successful, like I said, it offers increases the richness of experiences of your team, and that can really help inform the work of your service users, their carers, your colleagues, and the public, because you understand different cultural differences or different lived experiences much more better because you've got a wide variety of people in your team. And specifically targeting certain demographics will naturally increase the diversity in your applications in your teams. And a little bit of research there by Forbes tells that inclusive teams make better business decisions 87% of the time. So there really is tons of benefits just increasing that diversity within your teams. And of course, people want to apply to jobs and services that are inclusive. The people that naturally will help that application drive because they want to work somewhere that is an inclusive place to work. Obviously, our end goal, regardless of where we work, is making sure our patient care is as best as it could be, and increasing diversity will help with that as well because it offers that relatability with service users. That is our end goal, really, isn't it? So, and these programs will help contribute to that. So that's a little brief overview of benefits. I am running a different session in November, which is more of a follow-up to this session about kind of that social responsibility and that kind of giving back and that talent pipeline. And that will kind of discuss more that equality and that social responsibilities. So please watch out for that. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Ed now. He's from the Prince's Trust, and he'll introduce himself there. So I'll stop sharing, Ed, and you can share your slides if you have any.
Emily. Yeah, thanks for inviting me, everybody. I'm from Prince's Trust. Just been invited along today to share a little bit about what we do and how we are helping young people get into employment in health and social care. So let me share my screen. Can you see that? Yeah, fab. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, I'm from the Prince's Trust. Now, if some of you don't know who the Prince's Trust are, I'll give you a brief overview of who we are, what we do. So we were founded in 1976 by the now King, so King Charles set us up, 47 years ago now. And we're the UK's leading youth charity. We support young people aged 11 to 30 with our aim is supporting them through school and then also into employment. I work on our health and social care team, so we have a dedicated team that helps young people specifically get into roles within health and social care. So we have just been awarded a new contract actually as well. So our last one came to an end, that was 4 years. And as of this month, we've been given a new 3-year contract with the Department of Health and Social Care to support 3,500 young people into sustained employment in health and social care over the next 3 years. And by sustained employment, we mean them to be in that role for a minimum of 3 months. Obviously, we want them to start their career and have a fabulous career in health and social care, but for us, we're aiming to get them for a minimum of 3 months. So that's what we are sort of targeted with to support those young people into. And we do this through a variety of different programs. So we have 3 different programs that we run that support a variety of different young people and into a variety of different roles. So the first program that we do is a Get Started program. So we run these with specific employers with specific vacancies. So we can do clinical, non-clinical, any role sort of within the health and social care setting. And we design and deliver these with specific employers. So an example of this is we've just done one a few weeks ago with Leeds Community Healthcare Trust. They came to us and said, we've got loads of admin vacancies. Please, can you help us? So we ran a program a few weeks ago. We had 17 young people come on that program, and they've all got their interviews today. So they're all off to their offices at the White Rose Centre to have their interviews for these admin vacancies today. So fingers crossed for them all. But essentially what the program is, it's a week-long employability program, and yeah, we work with the employer to sort of tailor it and develop it so that we are working sort of the values of the employer that we're working with and the jobs that they've got available. So we recruit the young people, so we've got a whole outreach team that go out and find the young people. So we find the young people that are A, interested in the role, and B, meet the minimum requirements as well. So if the role needs like a level 2 in English and maths or previous experience, we will recruit young people for the program that meet the minimum requirements. And then we spend the week with them to help them apply and get ready for that role. So we can help them write a CV if they don't have one. We can help them with interview prep, so prepare them from all different types of interviews, whether it's competency-based or values-based, group interviews, online, face-to-face. So whatever that young person will be doing, if they have an interview, we'll help them with that, get mock interviews, those kind of things. We help them with the application as well, because we understand that track and that application process can be quite long and overwhelming for young people. So we do sort of one-to-one support with them to help them write the best statement that they can. And we also help with soft skill development on the program. So looking at confidence, teamwork, resilience, all those kind of skills that they're going to need to be successful in the role. And we also do some value-based workshops as well. So if the trust or the employer that we're working with has certain values that those young people need to show that they can, that they have, we'll help them with some workshops that will help those bring them out of them as well. And in terms of sort of the input from the employers that we work with, they can be involved with this program as much or as little as they like. So they can come along on the week and run some sessions that the young people might find useful, or the minimum sort of we just ask for employers to come along is just to do a Q&A with the young people, talk about your trust, talk about the vacancies that are available, and then the young people can ask any questions at the end. We try and aim for guaranteed interviews. It's always really nice if the employers can always offer an interview to the young people that we're working with. Some trusts can't do that for whatever reason. That's also fine. But yeah, we like it if we can say to the young people at the end of this week, you'll have a guaranteed interview at this trust. So like I said, that's the Get Started program that we offer. We also offer Get Into program, which is slightly different and sort of has a lot more involvement from the employers that we're working with. So it's a very similar name, but slightly different in how it works. So it's a longer program of 2 to 6 weeks, and this may be for your young people that might not have any experience and might be looking for some work experience or gaining those skills that they need to be successful in the role. So again, we design and develop each program with the employer, the vacancies that we're working with. But this program includes a work experience. So those young people will be with the employer for between 2 and 6 weeks. It's whatever the employer can sort of host, and it's all about getting those young people that skills, knowledge and experience that they might not have, giving them looking at what the role entails, and then we do ask that there's a guaranteed interview just at the end of that work experience placement for them as well, so they've got something to work towards. And it's a really good way for the employers as well to see how that young person's done over the 2 weeks as well. And during the time, we also still offer that CV support interview prep for them as well. We also offer a Get Hired program, which is a much shorter program. This might be for young people that are working another job or can't commit to a longer program, but are still interested in getting a career in health and social care. So it's a one-day event. We again recruit the young people based on the employers that we're working with. We can have multiple employers come along to this program as well, so not just one specific one. We do some interview skills and employability skills prep with them in the morning, and then in the afternoon we invite the employers to come and hopefully be able to interview them on the day. Obviously they'll still need to do all of their application stuff at a later date, but in that afternoon those young people are able to come along and have some interviews with employers. that's the 3 programs that we offer. We also offer lots of support for the young people post-program as well to help them once they are successful in the role. So if they come in a program, they're able to get a mentor that works with them for up to 3 months to support them in those first 3 months in the role. So these are volunteers that will help them and can help them pastorally and settle into those first 3 months in the role. They get a dedicated Prince's Trust Youth Development Lead to support them as well. So that's the people that will be running the programs with them, will then be checking in and making sure they're okay. They get access to other programs. So if they are unsuccessful or might need some more help in other areas, that we offer a whole range of programs that are able to help them with where they need to get to. And we also have access to our Mind Up, which is our mental health platform. So any young person can access this. They can access counselling, therapists, webinars, seminars, all around mental health. So if they need that support, that is also there for them. And we also offer financial support, so trying to break down as many barriers as possible so we can pay for things like interview clothes, or if they need to pay for a DBS, we can pay for that. If they need bus pass in the first few months in the role before they get paid, we can also pay for that as well. So it's all about just trying to break down as many barriers as possible. I've got the next slide is just about the types of young people that we get on our programme. So this is the last 4 years data across Yorkshire. I couldn't quite break it down into Leeds, but this is the young people that we've worked with across Yorkshire over the last 4 years. So all aged between 16 and 30. If your roles require the young people to be over 18 as well, we do recruit specifically for young people over 18, but it's open to 16 if the job allows it. 59% of those young people have come from IMD postcodes 1 to 3. If you don't know what that means, that's indices of multiple deprivation. So that is 30% most deprived postcodes in the UK. So nearly 60% of the young people are from those postcodes. 48% of the participants have been from a Black, Asian or minority ethnic background, and 71% female and 27% male. And finally, I've just got a couple of quotes. Oh, no, it skipped on too far. A little bit of feedback from a programme we run recently with Yorkshire Ambulance Service. So we did a week-long programme with them. They went on site and did some stuff with the ambulance service. It was a fantastic programme, but then they all got to apply for roles at the end of it. So the young person quotes at the top saying, "This programme has boosted my confidence and provided me with great interview skills to allow me to get into employment with the Yorkshire Ambulance Service. I am entirely grateful to the whole team behind this." And then the quote below is from the ambulance service saying, "For instance, one of the young people seemed to struggle with their confidence and self-esteem. By the end, they became more confident, had better ideas of what they wanted to do as a career, that becoming a paramedic. In addition to this, that particular young person mentioned how informative they had found the programme compared to similar sessions, and found the guest speakers to be a highlight as they were able to interact and ask them questions." And that's it. Thank you for having me. Does anybody have any questions or want me to clarify anything?
Well, thank you really much for coming along. Really appreciate it. And I
problem.
think it's really worth pointing out as well that if you found that inspiring, not only will you have the support from Ed and his team, but you also have the support from myself as well. So if you think that might seem like a lot of admin, but you've got me to do all that kind of admin support as well. So there's a lot of support behind you to get involved. I think if that piqued a little bit of interest and think that sounds really, really good, give it a go, because like you said, like, our feedback shows the outcomes could be really, really positive. So I think any interest in any of those programs that Ed's mentioned, just see if you can put a vacancy towards one of those. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get some vacancies for you guys to support us with soon.
Thank you. I'll stop presenting now so you can switch back. There you go.
So we'll just pick back up where we left off. Okay, so like this, we've heard from some programs. So how actually do we go about it then? So I guess the big thing is, are you struggling to fill vacancies? Do you find that you go out 2, 3 times the advert, and when you go to interview, are you seeing the same caliber of people? Are they, not very confident? Are they not quite understanding the role properly? What's kind of the problem? So when you do fill the post, are they leaving after a short amount of time? These programs I'm explaining will help with all those problems. So when we're looking at roles, thinking if you're in a clinical position, it's focusing on band 2 apprentices and then kind of band 3 roles. Anything above that, we talk about registration roles, and they're a little bit different to source and to find. And then for non-clinical roles, it could be anything from band 2 apprentices all the way upwards to the bands, because those kind of roles could attract people from armed forces backgrounds, or those who maybe got their qualifications then been out of work for a long time. So there's a different level of attraction and engagement for those kinds of roles. Yeah, so basically the process is you find that you have an upcoming vacancy. Maybe somebody's left the job, or there's going to be a vacancy coming up. Okay, you've identified your vacancy. So think first, could it be an apprenticeship? If it could, we'll discuss how you go about that next. Or think, could I try and recruit this differently, because I'd like to get somebody else different in my team. Then you reach out to me and see how we could fill this vacancy. So could we use a program like Apprentice Trust? Could we advertise it differently? Is there something else we could do together? Then we put forward the vacancy through a program, apprenticeship, or through advertisement. And basically, it's as simple as that. Get full support, including that kind of time-consuming admin support from me and the apprenticeship and WP team and the recruitment team as well. We all are working towards that kind of common goal of getting these vacancies filled in a different way. And I think what I've written and read there at the bottom is really, really big key to highlight. Nothing replaces any standard NHS recruitment practices, and absolutely no one is guaranteed a job. It's not about bypassing any of the steps. Again, like I said, it's about equity. It's equitable opportunities. No one's getting a job over somebody else. A fair process is still in place. People have to apply and interview and be seen, but it removes those barriers, such as the shortlisting barriers, by giving someone a guaranteed interview. And then once they get the interview and they're successful, the normal recruitment practices are in place. So things like ID checks and everything else that recruitment do will carry on as normal. So again, nothing changes in that regard. Obviously, the more advanced notice an upcoming vacancy for me, the better. So maybe you identify someone's handing their vacancy in, they've got to work out their notice. Maybe start then thinking, let's get a program in place then. Or maybe you've identified some funding for a new role you think could work as well. So these programs can also be used in combination. So you might have 3 health support worker vacancies, for example. 2 you might use as you normally would through normal recruitment processes. But the 3rd you might think, actually, I'd like to use that as an apprentice opportunity or an apprentice trust opportunity. So it's not an all or nothing approach, but it can be used in conjunction with standard practices, and it isn't replacing anything. So it isn't kind of the only way to do things. You might want to use a little bit of both and mix it with, again, it's that skills mix. Okay, that's kind of the process in a nutshell. And now I'm going to hand over to Sam, who's going to talk about apprenticeships.
Thanks, Emily. I'm just going to try and take control of the slides now. Let's hope this works. Yes, it has. Brilliant. So the reason I'm here, I'm the Apprenticeship and Widening Participation lead, and it's really because widening participation goes hand in hand with apprenticeships. When you're giving people an opportunity to apply for a role when they may not have that professional experience, an apprenticeship is an ideal job for them to move into. Apprenticeships can attract a more diverse range of people into the organisation because there's not that need for experience within the role. It offers a direct benefit to service and service users. And it also really strongly links to our ambition to grow our own talent for the future. So at the minute, we all know we can't recruit enough mental health and learning disabilities. There's issues around having enough AHP people within the workforce, but actually, by giving people the opportunity to move on to an apprenticeship scheme, it creates that loyalty and somebody feels valued by the organisation. Actually, they could be our nurses and AHPs of the future. So that's a really strong kind of benefit to using apprenticeships and widening participation. People are more likely to stay within the organisation. When we're recruiting into apprenticeships, we can assess people based on their values rather than their skills and experience, as Emily has already mentioned. And because of this, that naturally attracts a more diverse range of candidates. you know, as has already been mentioned, a more diverse workforce that's more representative of the communities we serve means that we're providing better patient care. There's also money available for apprenticeship. So at the minute, we're not spending all the funding that we have for tuition fees for apprenticeship. So this is a missed opportunity, really. You can have that training and development funded from our apprenticeship levy. And then the second to last point there about HR and ER issues, there are a high proportion of grievances and conduct and performance issues that occur within kind of entry level and support staff roles. But if we employ people who are potentially new to care, we can then support them to develop in a way that aligns with our trust values and behaviours, and should hopefully reduce those kind of difficult behaviours within that staff group. And as I say, they naturally go hand in hand. So when we have an apprenticeship opportunity, that can easily be linked to Prince's Trust, Leeds Health and Care Academy programmes, and even schemes like supported internships. So you can have an apprenticeship role that you advertise in the traditional standard way, and then also offer up interviews for those kind of guaranteed interview schemes for pre-employment programmes. So that's just a few reasons why I'm here. There's quite a lot involved in apprenticeships. I'm not going to go into massive amounts of detail because we've only got a couple of minutes left. But basically, there is government funding which covers the tuition fees. There is some criteria that people need to meet to be able to access that funding. An apprenticeship usually involves completion of an academic qualification. There does need to be some protected time for people to kind of upskill off the job. It usually involves an endpoint assessment at the end of the apprenticeship programme. We do need to have support in place for the apprentice, so we need to have a mentor and someone to supervise and support that person as they work their way through the academic programme and gain their workplace skills. As an apprenticeship team, we offer support for the line manager and the mentor and supervisor within the work area. And there are also regular reviews and evaluation involved as well. If you'd like to know any more about any of this, please do get in touch with myself or Michelle Wood, our apprenticeship officer, or we have a learning inbox, learning.lypft@nhs.net. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what an apprenticeship involves. So the key things to take home about apprenticeships in terms of widening participation, it doesn't have to be an entry-level role. As Emily mentioned, if it's a non-clinical role, it could be a more kind of intermediate apprenticeship in finance, digital, management apprenticeships. You don't necessarily have to recruit into a Band 2 role. Please do speak to us about any programmes and learning providers where they're to support you from the point of even considering an apprenticeship all the way through to that apprentice completing their programme and moving into a substantive role. You do need to think carefully about what the job description is for the apprentice and how long that contract needs to be, because we do need to make sure that person is employed for the full length of their development programme, and there should be a role for somebody to move into upon completion of the apprenticeship. So we don't want fixed term contracts to be used as a bit of a conveyor belt to recruit people and then not retain them within the organisation. If you have an apprenticeship role that you'd like to advertise, do share it with Emily as well, because she can then circulate that to her contacts and job boards in relation to certain communities. And it's also helpful if we can be involved in that recruitment and selection process, and possibly the college or the university as well. And that's in a supportive way where they're kind of handhold through that whole process of recruiting an apprentice. Okay, that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. I'm just really conscious of running out of time. I hope that's okay, Emily.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Sam. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't really stress enough that how apprenticeships and WP really do go hand in hand. You know, if you can identify any vacancy, it could be an apprenticeship, and we can use all the things I've mentioned as well, which is brilliant. Thank you very much. So, very last final takeaways then. So really my last thing to say is, what is the harm of engaging? So you've heard today, hopefully it's inspired you. So really, what is stopping you? What's the harm in just trying it, giving it a go? And as soon as you have that vacancy, really think just differently how you could do it this time. It might not be the standard easy way, but with a little bit more effort, it could really make a huge difference to somebody's life. There are tons of support for you out there, myself, the team, Prince's Trust and their team, and not mention all the other programmes that are in the city. So please don't feel like you're struggling through it alone. Lots of admin support. And really, you can become a positive news story for the rest of the trust to copy. You know, be the forefront, be the kind of the lead in making a huge difference, and get that kind of recognition for taking on that start. So yeah, of course, it's brilliant for the person you're trying to recruit, but also the benefits for you within your team cannot be measured. So it's, things like development for your team, that mentoring, supervision, that raising staff morale, that it really is benefits to everyone on both sides. And I'll discuss more of those benefits for your team in my next session in November as well. So lastly, these are kind of my details. So we've got my email address there and my StaffNet page as well. So, any further questions, any additional support, please do get in touch. And likewise, myself and Sam and our team colleagues would really love to kind of come along to your service as well in person if you value that. We love to get out and about and kind of see you in person, get those relationships going. So yeah, next session is on 28th of November, and that is about kind of raising social responsibility in that talent pipeline. But thank you very much for listening today. I really hope you've inspired by what we've seen. Thank you.